go over that because I think a couple people want to do that. So I'll go over that at the beginning here. And we'll help my math this right there. Let me go ahead and do it from here. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and get started. Morning, Jalen. We'll maybe have a couple people sign on and maybe have a couple more people wander in. But a couple of things I wanted to do today. One is to get us all on the same page about the end of the semester. The next is Stephen just asked me a really good question about how you do online questionnaires. So we'll take some time to look at options for that. And then the third thing we'll do before we dive into the lecture for today is there's a group assignment to talk about some of the stuff we talked about in class on Friday. So first things first, so we're going to cover diagnostic assessment today-ish. We'll do a little bit today. Sorry, it keeps like getting me out of focus. And into Wednesday. And then Friday and Monday will be group project workday. So what I plan on doing for these is having you all come to class. I will be here. If anyone wants to use that time to go collect your data, you can, if you're going to collect in person. This is also a really good time that if your partner for the assessment report and you have to catch up with some stuff, to use it for that, right? And if anyone has their data already, maybe you could make Monday the day we do this, where we go to the computer lab and I can actually help you start figuring out how to get it into SPSS and get it to be workable as well. When we get back from Thanksgiving, we'll talk about how to write the assessment report. So I'll actually go through the template that you'll use to write it with you in detail. And then we'll have exam 4 will be take home. So I'll probably have that posted by the time you get back from Thanksgiving, if not before, and have hard copies like I did last time. We'll have one last group project work day on the last day of class. Again, similarly, we can be in the computer lab. We can be, people can be working on questionnaires together, whatever you need to use that time for. I'm going to be here to float around and help you with stuff. And then I would love to get your posters before you present. I'm decided we're just going to like put them up on the screen just so we're not like killing an extra tree. And it's one less thing to put germs on, right? Of a piece of paper. But I would love to look them over for you all and be able to give you all feedback as well. So there's no surprises. I remember one year when I taught this class, a group somehow thought that like the comparisons they were supposed to make was between their data and already published data. It was just like the most interesting take I'd ever seen on this assignment. And I was like, I don't know what you're doing, right? So, I'd love to give you feedback. So something like that doesn't happen. So I could actually grade you based on our rubric. So our exam time is the 10th of December at 11:30 a.m. And at that time, and it'll be an upload to Blackboard, your assessment report will be due. So a couple big things coming up as we go forward, but I'm trying to give you as much time as possible with me here to help you to work on them during class period, okay? So we will work from there. And we can also talk Wednesday, how people are feeling, if you'd rather like maybe here or maybe on Zoom, we can work that out as well.
I'm not tired.
I'm gonna go ahead and walk us through real quick. Let me share screen here. Unlike I forgot to do when we were in the computer lab last week.
I'll let you keep it showing.
How to do, if you do want to put your questionnaires online. So the cheapest, because it's free, way to do this will be, and easiest, will probably be to use Google Drive. So if you're in your Drive, you just go to New, and if you're not sure how to get to Drive, if you are in, say, your Gmail for Wesleyan, and you click these 9 dots here, you can get to all the other Google apps, okay? So you can get to Drive there. And everybody at Wesleyan has a Google Drive and has access to this suite of things. So go back over here. So when you're in Drive, you just click New. And the one you want is this purple one, the one that says Google Forms, okay? So I am putting this in a folder I have shared with people. You can always share it later as well. All right, so then you can just use Google to create these things. So, I'm gonna call this something uncreative, like group projects, questionnaires. Now you have much better titles on your IRBs already, right? You could put a description here. You can collect emails. I highly recommend you don't, just because we're trying to actually make this anonymous, right? So to do that, let me show you how I got here. You click change settings. And then when you go over to this page of settings, there'll be a thing that says responses. If you just click this arrow, you just turn off the thing that says collect email addresses. And now if I go back to questions, it won't do that, so it can actually be anonymous, right? And then here, the nice thing with Google Forms, like other Google things, if I just click there, it will call the document the same thing. So let's say I'm setting up our demographics, right? So let's say the first thing I want to ask is, what is your age? Okay. For this, what you want to do is make it a short answer. I've had people try to do like multiple choice for age before, but we have so many, yeah, that's exactly my look, right? We have so many non-traditional students, right? You'd have to make a giant list. Just have them type it in. And if you really want to get picky about it, you can go to these 3 little dots and choose response validation and say this has to be a number. You can decide whether or not you actually want to do that, depending on if you want to kick their value out if they write like 18 years instead of just 18. Okay, but let's say, yeah, I want to keep it that way. All right, so now I've entered my question for age. Now let's say I want to create a question for last year. Okay, so this one would be a multiple choice, right? So first year, sophomore, you can also just hit enter, junior, senior. We do have grad students now. We do have some MBA and MEd students, or MA-Ed, I think. And then you can just add an other, and then they would fill it in, right? And again, if you're doing a non-student sample, you wouldn't need to put this in there. But let's say you want to do gender, right? So you could do this in alpha order, do a female, a male, Gosh, it helps if I don't have. And we can add an other, and we can also add a prefer not to say. So if someone doesn't want to disclose their gender identity, they don't have to, right? And so, you could do this for every demographic question. Let's say you want to know something that might take a longer answer. I'm going to just come up with something weird off the top of my head. So tell us about why you chose to take our survey. I don't know why anyone would ask that, but the really nice thing is probably 8 times out of 10, it's not perfect, but Google will figure out, oh, you want a longer answer for this, and just change the format for you. Alrighty, the next thing that you can do that I really like to kind of break stuff up for people is you can add a section. So let's say I'm all done with my demographics and I decide I want to put our first questionnaire on a new section, right? So this is, again, you would call it something much better, but something like this is our created questionnaire. Okay. And now for this, you could do each question separately, right? Where you would type it out and then you'd have your Likert scale as a multiple choice. So here is the question. And then this would be like 1, strongly disagree. 2, disagree. 3, neither agree nor disagree. 4 could be agree. And 5 could be strongly agree. Sure. And you could do that for each question. Or you can do what they call a multiple choice grid. So in this case, what you would do is you would make your Likert scale the columns. And so this would be your 1, and I'm not going to type out the descriptors again, but you would obviously 4 and 5. And then each of your items would be a row. So this would be item 1, item 2, item 3. And you can even, let's just say we're going to put this as just 2 anchors, strongly disagree and strongly agree. And let's say you have 5 items. So item 4, and you would have to obviously actually type as the item here, but I'm trying to save us a little bit of time. Okay. And you could do that for the whole questionnaire, or sometimes what people like to do is, let's say your questionnaire is 10 items. You'd break it into 5s, because think about taking it on your phone, right? And I don't know if anyone else has experienced this before. You scroll down on a survey and all of a sudden the anchors disappear from the top and you're like, wait, which number was which? And you got to scroll up and down, right? So you might want to think about breaking it up a little. And then again, if you want to do another one for another questionnaire, you just add a section. And then let's say, as I did in this case, you forgot a section. So I forgot that it would be really good to have a section for our informed consent. So I put a section in, I drop this down, right? And then when I'm up here, you can add just like a text box, or you can make your, so like, here's what I would do for informed consent. I would have it, this is where you would copy, paste all the text, and you could just title it informed consent. And then I would create an item that says, I have read the above and consent to participate. You want to make this one required and basically only have an option of saying yes. Otherwise, they shouldn't be allowed to go on with your study, right? So this is the only one you should require, because in all of your informed consents, you've said they can stop at any time or they can skip any questions, right? So you could go on and, this next section could be, published questionnaire 1. Right, and then you'd put in the questions for that, add a new section for published questionnaire 2. And again, you would call them something besides this. Usually when I am putting headers for questionnaires on my own research stuff, I just use the abbreviation for the questionnaire. Because if I put back depression inventory up there, people are going to know what it's measuring. And that might influence how they answer, right? And then you can add another section for your debriefing. Right, and so here, maybe you have a like acknowledge question, or maybe on your debriefing. Oh, you know what? I know what I did. I didn't actually like make a section for debriefing. So this is, again, the really nice thing is that it's very forgiving, right? So if you mess something up, you can change it. But yeah, if I just have a text box for it, and then I would copy paste it here. Here. Okay. Now the really nice thing is, let me show you what it looks like when we preview it, is okay. Now they will have read the informed consent, click yes, and they click next. And now they'll just have demographics. And then they'll just have your questionnaire. And then they'll just have questionnaire 1, just have questionnaire 2. And then they get to the debriefing, right? So, and then they would submit it. The really nice thing too is that when you go to responses, you can tell it, I want you to create a spreadsheet. And then it will automatically create a spreadsheet. And as people take your questionnaire, it'll just populate your data. It basically does the data entry for you. So you don't have to sit there and like type everything out. If you're really anxious about it, you can also, when you're here, click form, I know it's tools, sorry, and go to notification rules. And you can have it email you whenever someone submits a form. If you were collecting 200 people, let's say, don't do this to yourself in your email, right? But if you're collecting 30, okay. Just like any other Google Forms, you can add collaborators. So you can put your other group members on so that they can edit it as well. Right now, the only person this is shared with is Dr. Shaw, because I've shared this folder with her because she's taught this class as well. And then when you go to send it, when you're all done, you got everything in there, you want to send it out to people. You just go here and it creates a link for you. It likes to create this giant link, but you can just tell it shorten URL and it'll create a short one for you. That's easy to copy paste, throw in an email, throw in a text message to somebody, or whoever you guys are recruiting.
Oh, that's good. So you said like a URL to people.
Exactly. So yeah, it'll just be this nice short one, and they can just click on it, take your survey, and then they can take it from their phone, their tablet, their computer, whatever they want to use. Alrighty. The other option that's out there, but is not as good for this particular project, is SurveyMonkey. So if you plan to be someone, oh, they changed their name to Momentive. I forgot, they're in like a Facebook-esque rebranding here. But it is a little more fancy. There is a free version, but I believe you can only do 10 questions. So it won't be enough for y'all, right? So I highly recommend, and there are other things out there like Qualtrics and other programs, but for what y'all are doing and the fact that it's free, I would stick with Google Forms, just because You just saw how quick and easy it is. And even if I mess up, I can just drag and drop stuff to where it's supposed to go, right? And if you all, once you've created that, want to send me the survey link and have me take it to kind of pilot it, I'm really glad to do that for you. And I recommend you do that with your own as well, to look for any typos or places where you might have accidentally required an answer, but you didn't mean to, things like that. Any questions about this? Yeah.
So if we want to send it out like by email to
Mhm.
students, is there a way you can like have, like, how do we get emails to send it to a bunch of people?
It's like a mass inbox.
Yeah.
So this is annoying because we have this with our own research too. There is a student listserv. We have a psychology department email that we are allowed to send them out on. But we have been severely reprimanded for sending more than like 1 or 2 a semester. So if there are several groups who want to send them out to the entire student body, let me know. And if we can get them in, you know, let's say by like this Friday, I can send out 1 email with all of them in there. I can't send them out piecemeal or I'll like hear from 10 people on this campus because they're like, our students get too many emails. And like the 3 psychology studies are not the problem, all right? But the other thing you can do is just send them to people you've got, right? Especially if you put in your IRB that they don't have to be students, just send them to your whole email box, right? Get people into doing it. And the other thing with this link as well is that you could just like post it on your socials and have people take it that way. I've even done that when I was recruiting for my studies. Like I control the psychology at BWU Instagram account, which like sometimes is active, sometimes there's not, depending on when I remember it exists. But like when I was recruiting for one study, I made it our link in the bio, right? Things along those lines. So other questions about this? The other thing is you can still just print them out and pass them out to people. And if anyone doesn't have enough copies to do that, I'm more than willing to run them off for you. So just let me know. Yeah, and like I said, in the past, I've had groups collect the whole data. If you get like a busy time of day in the calf or in the grill, you can get 30 people in like an hour. So, you know, it's not necessarily that onerous if you do want to do it in person. The only annoying thing is you will have to then hand over your data.
Right now I have mine like
Mhm. Yeah, that should be fine too. Yep. Yeah, there's lots of different options, so feel free to play with them more. The other thing that I always recommend is if you get stuck on something, just Google how to do it. Like probably not only does Google have a how-to, but someone out there has made a video on YouTube about how to do it, and they're often really user-friendly. So like, for example, when I was first learning Zoom, I got everything from Zoom's YouTube channel because their YouTube channel is like one of the best done YouTube channels I've seen in terms of help. Like they actually, it's not like they're like, well, you would do this, you would do this. They actually get people from their company to hop on the call with them so they can show like, what did the breakout room actually look like and things like that. So, yeah.
If we resubmit our IRB, do we have to wait for final approval to be able to put a questionnaire out there?
In theory, yes. I am going to try to get to all of those while you are doing the group activity, like right now.
Okay.
I know I've gotten some back to people and some are not. I got my emails down from 250 and read to 200 this weekend, so I made some progress. But I know that I have stuff that's time sensitive, so I'm gonna go grab my laptop while y'all are working on the group thing and just get that done now. So great question. Alrighty. So speaking of group assignments, let me see. Why don't we just do these three, and these three? This does refer to one little piece of your book. And Jalen and Ashanti, if you want to kind of follow along, I'll copy paste the questions in for you. Let me do a new share so that you can see it. Share my whole screen. So if you don't have your book here, this is the box that the first question will refer to. So I'll just come around and give one to the frontmost member of every group, and feel free to move wherever so that y'all can interact a little bit better. Give me just 1 second. I'm going to copy the assignment for our Zoom friends here. Well, I have the There we go. And let me pull up the box again. All right, so I will be right back.
My first reaction was, I was happy that the other kids adjusted to them easily. But you know, it's gonna be, for that, so it's, she was that intellectually stable. I can't expect people to learn the same as the other students. So other than just being Well, I said in class, the Greeks used to say basically get up 3 people and send 3 representatives from one city to the city next, closest to them, and they had an event like Collaborators, whatever they did. They would send 3 people just to observe, the event and the other people, and then report back to whoever in charge of the city. So they've been doing observation psychology from based on the beginning. So that's time. Okay. I just assume that that's what a big fact that observation is. Very concerned to say. I used to go to Atlantic City with my grandma, I just came at the time, but they used to like to sit on the boardwalk and just talk. Man, grandma, that's kind of crazy, but they like to do that. I think they call it people watching. We had to do an observation experiment. We had to go see them. So I was in Walmart, did it, and it was incredible because after I was there for a while, I realized that everybody was the lead performer in their own show. And that went from the kids all the way to the oldest of old people. It's like they were performing their own show at Walmart. And I wrote a paper on that. For interesting. So oh, you mean with the school year? For 2 weeks. Because it's time sensitive.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily, that doesn't necessarily appear to be, are the kids being disrupted towards the other kids? It appears to be, are we being disrupted to the normal flow of classes? It works, man.
Yeah. Is there,
Hey, oh, good. Yeah. Well, that's totally fine. So yeah, you can just pick any of the groups and join them and, yeah, just check through the answers. Okay. You're welcome. Oh, the group should be checked, so, yep.
When they asked I think they said at the end of this, the students noted the constant stream of observers was distracting. Yeah, so we could use like a life scale when we were kids. You know, did you feel like there was distraction while we were sitting in the rows? Yeah. That is what
they said, students, we actually felt to. Basically.
Any type of scale for like qualitative interviewing, where so it's not so
Yeah,
quantitative.
right.
But you're trying to get information like.
Yeah, so you can do like a standardized interview for that. And then, there are various methods of scoring the data, of like going through the question and answers. That, so like, for example, I'm working on a qualitative study right now. And we're using something called the Census Method, where we actually all sat on a Google meeting together and coded them together. Whereas other methods would include like you go through and do it, and then someone else goes through and does it. And then you can pay them. So,
Okay.
yep, there's lots of cool stuff like that.
So if we used quantitative measurement scale, it would be, you know, most of them that we learned with this. But I think that we use they would just talk to the kids and kids are very it's true. They're like crazy. Right. You can put on your best cat. Yeah. The question number 4 is interesting, because when I was thinking about this, I was thinking about all the kids' behaviors, which kind of limited it to their actions. But if you reason before, if you were in therapy and your therapist came to visit your home or work environment, which you learned something about you that you not disclosed. And that's a lot about for you too, is how close you were, how friendly or messy the area you're in, your desk, or your environment. And I going for that. So I think it would be important, as it pertains to the thing there to look at the class, set up, look at the colors on the walls that teachers using. Okay, well, I think those here. Rate a desk set up. Because I think that. Whatever, they try to act. So they can live in their natural environment, and that's what I can put everybody shooting for. Number 5. Records and personal documents. How would you use those? I think for almost every assessment, we're looking at anything. You would be better off to use personal documents, just for things such as when the job closures, if they have different, just so you're more informed of how to speak to them, just for that purpose. If we are just to be better prepared. Right, environmental assessment. Oh, yeah, it says, usual observations and you're not gonna use it. It's not fair, just better prepared. Characteristics of kids. You may have to change your therapy a little bit, right. Yeah, if one of them had, let's say, read the questions and write the answers, because if they get nervous, the letters and numbers literally fall apart. And that's the best way that I've found to describe So stress is, that's the one, tracker, all the sort of, license of the store, or that's not license necessarily.
Ashanti, I used to volunteer for the Community Trust PCA, and that was the worst for that, because everyone would come in right after their pets fast, and you'd just be like, I'm sorry, had a cat, like.
Like you're trying to get them out because of the other person behind them, like all down. I'm just like, I don't want to be rude.
Right.
Get it out.
Yeah, and it's good because I'm like, why are you deciding to be like, what made you feel like I'm the person you would like talk to? I'm just sitting here and you're and it's just like.
Your energies, you're meant to somebody's frequency, it's easy to talk.
So like, she'll be like, I'm just one day with you. And I'll like, one day to go. Friendly person. They don't care.
First time, it's like,
And it's just about where you should just stop.
where are you trying to go next year? Birthday, Katie?
I'm really excited in your.
Really? Should go to, you're a fan of the opera. Are you?
So I'm a huge theater fan. And so is one of my best friends.
I was in it, 66 shows. You, right. But you did, festival, like,
Yeah.
I was here maybe, I don't know, 10 years ago. Yeah.
And that was here then.
Yeah. So when I was in construction, I was the carpenter on stage, right, but then they asked me to be an extra in it. So I was, making extra stage hand. So. By the time it was over, I was sitting in the show, and I do all the work.
It's my most favorite thing ever. Like, and it's, I always told myself, like, when I finally hit the show around, like, never seen it. And
All right, I just have to say, I'm loving how into this assignment y'all got, because I think this is the one you were like most talkative, and maybe it's because you know each other now. So let's plan on going over the answers at the beginning on Wednesday, just because we only have like 2 minutes left, and we're not gonna get through them all. But I love this, and if y'all wanna like stay and keep chatting, feel free. I'm gonna actually go visit Dr. Slater's class, I got a power walk to do. Thanks, Jared, have a good one.